Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Graham Hart Show here on People's Internet Radio. Wow, what a weekend we've had. I didn't expect that, folks. I didn't see that coming. I went out on Friday night to see David Irving in Plymouth, and I came back and I checked my phone and I had Devon and Cornwall Police on it. I thought, well, I didn't put that number into the directory. What the hell's that doing there? So I left it go and thought no more about it, and about midnight, I went onto Facebook and I went, holy shite, what the hell is going on here? Well, let's talk about that tonight. Thank you very much to Andy Young and Tom Barnes for The Enemy Within. Great show, guys, with Tom Crawford. It seems like it's Tom Crawford night tonight, because coming up next, I've got Mark Salon, who was one of the 6 that were up on the roof and in the loft, and God only knows what they were doing. But I'm really looking forward to talking to Mark, and I think we should give them the music to everyone involved in that situation up there in Nottingham. A little bit of this. And without further ado, let's give a very warm welcome to my special guest, who's become a legend in his own lunchtime, Mark Salon. Hello, Mark. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How's yourself?
I'm very well, thank you, my friend. Thanks so much for coming on. When we arranged this, I had no idea what was going to happen at the weekend. So before we get into that, Mark, for the sake of listeners who are not aware of the situation, could you just give us a brief synopsis of Tom's case and how it led to where we were at the weekend?
Yeah, well, Tom took out his mortgage in 1988. It was an endowment mortgage. And then 10 years into it, the bank changed it from an endowment to a part interest, part capital. Now, when Tom and Sue found this out, they obviously complained to the bank. The bank then sent them some roses and some champagne to say sorry. So that they naturally assumed it had been reverted back to what it originally was. And then a further, I think it was 6 years after that, they changed it again, this time to an interest-only mortgage. And when he found out, he complained again. And then it's pretty much the bank does whatever it wants, simply because if you take a mortgage or a loan or almost anything out with a bank, in the small print, and we're all told, well, I was told as a kid, always read the small print, but it soon washes that out your head and you don't. But in the small print, it will say that you give the bank your power of attorney for them to basically do anything with you, your money, anything they like.
And people are not aware of that, Mark, are they?
Sorry?
People are not aware that you give them power of attorney.
No. Although I think a lot more are becoming aware.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about that later, but that is to do with stuff that happened at the weekend as well.
Okay. Carry on. Sorry I interrupted.
Yeah, so throughout the whole 25 years of the mortgage, Tom was paying the full endowment policy, apart from when he wanted them to sort the problem out that they'd done. Where he stopped paying for a while, and then they tried to put him to repossess the house then. So he paid it back up to date, because they hadn't spent the money or anything. They'd got it stored just in case he needed to.
Yeah.
Then he's finished paying it, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before now. And the bank, his original mortgage was for £43,000. The bank has been paid in the 25 years over £130,000, and the bank claim he still owes £43,000. And a lot of the problems has come because not many people understand how the banking system, various different things work. And basically an endowment mortgage is where you're paying the interest off, but running alongside it is the endowment policy, which is like an insurance policy. And then at the end of the 25 years, that's supposed to mature and pay off your original mortgage. Plus, in Tom's case, he was supposed to get another £15,000 on top.
Okay.
Unfortunately, at some time that we have no idea about, the bank lost the endowment policy. Then Tom took them to court, this is Bradford and Bingley, and the court procedure was so unbelievable. The judge worded the document that he actually published in such a way that unless you understand how legalese actually works, and legalese is an utter nightmare. It sounds like English, but it isn't.
Yeah.
that if you don't know how it works, you would read that and you would think, oh, Tom clearly lost. And Tom even thought, reading it, that he'd lost until someone, Mr. Ebert, examined it and pointed out what he was saying in legalese, but transferred it into English. Yeah. And one of the reasons we know it was a total sham was because although Tom took Bradford and Bingley to court, when the judge issued his order, he put Bradford and Bingley as the claimant and Tom and Sue as the defendant. Now, courts aren't stupid. There's no way on earth you could make a mistake like that. Plus the fact of when the judge actually came into, I mean, I weren't there. I'm going on what likes of Guy, Tom, and others have said. When the judge actually came into the room, this is the actual event on the May the 1st. Yeah. The barrister representing Bradford and Bingley saw that the judge wasn't wearing a wig or gown, and so immediately took her wig and gown off. Straight away, that tells you there's something dodgy going on.
I'll say, I've never heard of that one before.
Well, I mean, I would just guess it's something along the lines they're no longer actually in a court and it's all private from that point on. But because it was held in the court building, you know, this sort of rubbish they pull over your eyes. The statement that the judgment also said, hang on a second. The judgment also said that, blinking dogs, I've lost my train of thought now.
We were with the there were no wigs, so the barrister took his wigs off, his wig and gown off as well. Yeah.
It's gone for the moment, but if it pops back, I'll just shout up.
Okay. I know what it's like.
They anticipated a similar turnout for the actual verdict. Now, Tom and Sue had already told them it'll just be half a dozen or a dozen or so of us turning up. However, there was more police present this time when there was literally, I think it was between 10, 12 at a push. And it was absolutely hilarious. They had cops everywhere. They had double the amount of blue shirt brigade public liaison officers. Yeah. And it made them look really stupid when there's like 10 to 12 people walking up and you set for a crowd of 500 or 600, even though you've been told that's what's going to happen. And they did look really, really stupid. Anything else you want to know about that?
No, I think that takes us up nicely to the weekend. I mean, obviously on the July the 2nd, Tom was caught off guard because he was on his way to London, which left Nicole and Sue on their own, and in bad circumstances as well. What with Sue's mum having passed away the day before, and the dog just about to be put down.
Yeah, well, Sue's mum's not even. I'm not sure whether they're burying or cremating her yet. I think they're burying her. That's not due till Tuesday coming. So Sue and Nicole actually did some digging, and they found out the company that was behind the whole thing, and it led back surprisingly to the City of London. And on their own website, it states these are the type of people where we just will not get involved with, and that one is bereaved family, one is with any sort of illness. Now, Sue was in bereavement; her mother had just died.
Yeah.
Tom, although he doesn't like to talk about it, had been suffering with cancer. So there's two reasons they shouldn't have gone in. But backed up by over 150 police, 40 to 50 bailiffs, 3 helicopters. It was absolutely astronomical. And the police could be hired for around £50 an hour. This is just a plain constable. Obviously, it goes up to the sergeant and whatever, this increases. But it's something around £50 an hour. And I think that's plus VAT. And 150 constables, and they were there the whole day. And I'm just working on an 8-hour day. They were there longer than that. But 150 constables at £50 an hour, it comes roughly to £60,000. Just the cost to the public.
Yeah.
And the bank is chasing £43,000, and they're trying to put it on up to auction for between £37,000 and £47,000. So if you think this is about money, you have no idea what is going on.
No, this is about sending a message.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, guys, if there's anyone in the chat room that want to ask questions, would you please put them in bold, please, so I can pick them out. You're welcome to ask Mark any questions. So when now, Mark, Tom has now lost the house, and we've all seen the video, I think. If not, it's, I forget the name of the damn thing now. Family eviction, July the 2nd, 2015.
Yeah.
That is the one, that's the video that really shook the world, I think. It certainly shook everybody in this country anyway. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we've seen that. And then, like I said, I put this thing out on the show last week when I was talking to Tony Sayers. What would it be like if people, we just put out and said, we're taking the house on next Sunday, everybody be there and we're going to do it peacefully. When I put that out there, I didn't think no more about it, really. When did the plan come together to do this, Mark?
I can't really say.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Let's say I had no idea about anything when we actually booked this show.
Okay. Yeah, me neither.
So you're either very lucky or you've been listening to our private conversations. But actually, this is quite interesting. On that subject, I would I'd like to put a little bit of information out there. Okay. Now, we've suspected, and of course, people could call you paranoid and that, and yeah, I'm paranoid, and it turns out I'm right to be paranoid. We've suspected that my phone's been bugged for quite a while. I've reset it a few times, and one day a few weeks back, I was chatting to a friend face to face, and I was saying I wanted to test to see if the phone's bugged. Will you play along? And they said, yeah, no problem. So I won't go into what we was talking about, but let's say it just it was something that if anyone was listening, they could not wait to get out there. So we were chatting away what we were saying, and then the very next day, we got information that they had not only been listening, but had recorded what had been said. So we knew straight away there that, yes, my phone was tapped and they were listening to every word we say. Not content with that, I thought I'll just test this, just to check. So I went onto our website and I sent a PM to the same being. And lo and behold, within the next 12 hours, that was out that this had happened. So my phone and my computer had been both hacked. You set them up? Yeah, and we were just testing the water. And I must admit, I didn't expect the computer to be as hacked as and I was fully aware the phone was probably already hacked. But when the computer was hacked as well, I was like, whoa, it's just one of those things. I'll test it as if that had happened. It's just little old me. It's not like I'm a terrorist or anything. And bingo.
Wonderful. So now we come to last Friday, Guy. I'm looking at Guy Taylor's name here on the chat box. Sorry. I'm always getting names mixed up here. Now we come to next Friday, Mark. Last Friday.
Yeah.
Run us through it.
Well,
here we go, folks.
The videos are out there. You can see how we got there or what we got there and what was done. So basically, we're actually into Tom's loft. Okay. And it's a mess, to say the least. But, at first look, it didn't look too bad. Right. And of course, at this point, we're in the loft, and there's others on the roof, just to let everyone know that we're down outside, that we were there, and we started to notice odd little things. I mean, there was a pan, and I mean quite a large pan of rice. This is in the loft. There were at the end of the loft, there's like a 2-meter space where you can like step through about a meter-foot square hole, and then you're into this last 2 meters of space. In there, one of the dirty little things did something rather disgusting. I won't mention what it is, but I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
When things virtually from the foot point we first got on the roof, the very first thing we said, as soon as the cops turned up, which we knew was going to happen.
Sure.
First thing we said to them, I'm sure there's a load of video out there where you can see us doing it, is we will come down immediately if you show us the warrant.
Yeah.
Now, you can't say fairer than that, can you?
Absolutely.
One cop said he's getting it emailed to his phone. It'll be about 5 minutes. We were told numerous times it's on the way. About 3 hours after the cop that had said it was being emailed to him, we says, "Is it here? Yeah, it's slow." So we started saying things like, "Yeah, you're still on dial-up." And we were very jovial and friendly, basically. Although when we was on the roof, one of the security dog guys, I think it was, apparently sprayed some red marker paint type stuff at us. It then...
Why would he do that?
This was when we were first getting on the roof.
Oh, as you were getting on the roof. They see...
At some point, yeah. I mean, I didn't, because I wasn't paying any attention to that. I knew where we needed to go, and that was where we were going. The police, now this is for later on, but the police, you could see they were starting to wonder. They said they'll come down if you show the warrant. Go and get the warrant. That's dead simple. And that was it. We would have come down immediately. Yeah. But so despite the numerous claims that it was on the way, they'd gone to fetch it, nothing ever materialised. Strange that, isn't it? It's almost like maybe they're scared to show the fact that if any paperwork exists, it is much more than likely not genuine. How do they deal with it?
It's now known as the unicorn, I believe.
Yes, yeah, the imaginary document. Yeah. Like non-stop from the moment we got there, during till probably non-stop till about 5 o'clock, and then after 5 o'clock, every now and again, like a police helicopter would come round, and we'd turn to the cops and say, "Is this the warrant being delivered?" And it's just unbelievable. But the beauty of what happened was all the cops, and you could see it, they're starting to think, yeah, just give them the warrant, just show them it. Game out. It's that simple. And
what time did you get up on the roof, Mark, may I ask?
It was about, I'm not exact, but I would say between 10 to 1 and 1 p.m.
Okay.
On Friday.
Right.
Although I've seen their statements and they haven't got a clue what was going on, but I can't mention that obviously for reasons. Then it got to the point later in the evening. Initially, guys were actually in behind the barriers near the front door of Tom and Sue's place, and then the police eventually shoved them all out. So they stayed behind the barrier. They were happy to stay there just to support us and keep an eye on us and make sure they didn't do anything naughty. Because apparently they do these sort of things, so I've come to find out. Then in the evening, it might have been late afternoon. It's been. I spent the 3 nights without any sleep, so it might be a little bit hazy. I'm just sort of trying to catch up now.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Thank you for coming on.
They started to kettle the supporters. Down the road. They prefer to call them protesters, but there was no protesters there. They're just all supporters. Yeah. And the reason we keep saying this is because they have rules to deal with protesters, whereas supporters, well, they're just supporting us. There's nothing wrong with that. But
excuse me for keep laughing here, Mark.
If it wasn't so serious, it would be
hilarious.
It was a comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
Then
comedy.
they started to kettle the people down the road, and they were being shoved and pushed, and one girl got hit in the stomach.
Hell.
Sue and my missus were in one of the neighbours' house having some pizza and a cup of tea. The police came to the door and said, "You've got to leave now." And he says, "We're here having tea and pizza." No, and the guy whose property it was says that I've let him in. They can stay. He says, "Well, I'm overruling that. Get out now."
Good grief.
This is as close to a dictatorship as you will see, and you've got to pay attention to this. I mean, I've been warning of this for a long time. I mean, I'm sort of like going back a little bit now, but if you go back to the meeting we had at the Tally Ho, because we couldn't get down to the Elwes because Tom was barred.
Yeah.
I start with a very strong warning about what's coming.
Yes, I've seen it.
And towards the end, Guy Taylor actually says, as a goodwill measure to the Elwes, you know, because we've had loads of meetings there and they've all was treated as well. How about we stroll down there, because it's about half a mile down the road, and have a beer, just say thanks for the support. And we thought, well, yeah, that's fair enough. So after the meeting had finished, everyone started to drift down to the Elwes, and you'll see the video I put out where we're going down there, and 3 armed response units, numerous cop cars. I think it was in the end, it was 3 or 4 Black Mariahs, and this is for us going for a beer in what would be Tom and Sue's local. I'm aware of what they're doing, and they're doing it to try and frighten you and scare you and all that. So me being me, I go down to have a chat with them, and the arrogance amongst them was unbelievable. Unfortunately, as I'm sure many listeners will know, that they'll use a breach of the peace, and they will use their determination of what a breach of the peace is. And if it's you not moving when you're supposed to, they'll say that's a breach of the peace when it clearly isn't. But they've got carte blanche to use breach of the peace and make up any excuse they want. Because, and I was speaking to one of the cops about this, and they said, well, there is no actual framework to fit it in. It is pretty much how you see it.
Yeah.
And that actually leaves it open for massive, corruption.
Absolutely. They're not using pace anymore then?
No, they're falling back onto breach of the peace.
Okay, that's interesting.
And then if we get back to the Friday.
Yeah. So
when we're still in the loft and nothing seems to be happening, you know, because we're all doing it peacefully, you know, we'd like you to leave. And it gets to the point where we realise that the dogs down there and their handlers are just going to let them eat as if necessary. So we decided to close off that shaft, the climb up into the roof. So we did that. And then we started spending more time on the roof. Then we heard that TSG from Manchester was coming down. And whether that was them that turned up or not, I don't know. I would suspect it probably was.
Yeah.
When we realised that they were about to start trying to force their way up, we lifted the bed up. There was a divan bed up there, and we lifted the first base up and put it on top of the door that was up there, which Tom has no idea where that come from. The door, that is.
Right.
Then we lifted the second one and put that down there. And that's when we discovered another dirty little secret of these disgusting animals. There was one of their laptops up there, which obviously we left because it's nothing to do with us. And we suspect that he'd been watching something on his laptop while enjoying himself. And then he'd been dumping the residue on toilet paper and poking it under the bed. And there was a lot of toilet paper under that bed.
Holy shit. That beggars belief.
They were belief. And are
Jesus Christ.
Absolute the lowest of the low with
Yeah.
no humanity.
No. Animals, well, less than.
Pure and simple. Yeah, animals. Hey, I trust an animal any day rather than them lot.
Yeah.
Then it got a bit later, and then a negotiator was called. Now, the negotiators in general were okay, but that's what they're there for, to negotiate. Apart from when they did start negotiating, when the TSG van turned up and they were getting out these massive long iron bars and all the equipment that goes with it, that's when we came off the roof and went in and blocked up the roof entrance and decided we'd try and make sure we're all on the bed to make sure that if anything happens, we can stop it.
Yeah.
And as the negotiator's talking to us, or should I say distracting us, suddenly the TSG starts smashing the door and pushing steel pipes into it and things like that. And then shortly after that, I mean, at this point we were shocked, but we knew it was almost impossible for them to get in.
Yeah.
There was 5 of us on the bed and one just strolling around. And shortly after the initial onslaught, over in one corner of the room, we see a metal spike come shooting through our floor and ergo Tom's living room ceiling, and it comes through about 2 feet through the actual ceiling into the room that we're in, and it just kept prodding and poking like that. And we thought that we were going to take the ceiling down, but more scarily is the fact that if someone had been sat there, they would have killed him instantly.
Yeah. So we got metal poles going through the ceiling here.
Yeah, it was coming. It must be about, I would imagine, about 4 foot, 5 foot long.
Yeah.
In length, but it was coming 2 foot through the ceiling. So if somebody had been sat there, it would have gone through. If it had gone straight through the middle, it would have got up to around about the neck. And where's the health and safety they done before they've done that?
This is incredible. Incredible. Carry on, Mark.
The assault continues, but as I say, they realise they're not going to get up, or it's going to take them longer than they thought. And we start saying to the negotiator, right as soon as it starts, actually, we start saying, we can't hear you because of all this. And then when they realise that it's going to take a lot longer than they thought, the negotiator starts talking again, and blah blah. Why don't you just come down? Blah 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 blah. And I mean, to be fair, we were all shocked by the amount of violence that was used. Absolutely shocking. If you'd have been there, and we do have a recording of this because I was talking to somebody on my phone at the same time, and I would imagine it sounded very harrowing.
Yeah. Yes, it would be at that point.
If anyone, I think anyone on this listening would have been there, there could have possibly been some bowel movements. It was that scary.
Yes, I should imagine. Well, we've got Andy in the chat room was put in attempted murder.
Yeah. It actually, one of the bars when it came through, he actually caught one of our guys on the ankle. Fortunately, it didn't go straight through his foot, but he did have a sore ankle for the next day or so. And then we say, okay, well, calm down. We'll discuss, because, bearing in mind there was 5 blokes and a woman.
Yeah.
And we were all a little bit, shaken by the absolute violence they were prepared to use for the banks. So we have a chat, and we discuss the safest way to deal with it. And 3 of the lads decided that they'd go down, and there was me, another lad, and a girl. Didn't feel comfortable going down, and not with the violence they'd shown. And we went up onto the roof for safety. Wow. We also knew that they couldn't get up while 3 lads were coming down. Yeah. And they, while they going down, we went up onto the roof. And when they finally got them down and got up into the loft, one of the TSG guys, a very lovingly looking guy with a big blue helmet and face mask on, that had just tried to potentially kill one of us, popped his head out and said, "It's safe to come down, you know." To which we said,
Yeah, sure.
"Not a chance in."
Genau.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
So eventually he goes away, and the negotiators start popping their head through the roof and trying to negotiate us, and they're there for our safety and they don't want anything to happen.
Yeah,
And
they
as the
showed that.
night goes on a bit, it's starting to get a bit dark now, and it's raining, so the roof tiles are very, very slippy. And as we're not coming down for the negotiators, at one point, because we're all sat on the, if you can see the videos and that where there's someone holding a flag right at the end of the ridge tiles,
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
that's where all three of us are. We're all sort of sat down, almost like bobsleigh type behind each other, because it's raining and we're trying to keep each other warm. And then someone comes along, whether it was with the metal rod or not, we don't know, and starts hitting the tiles below where we're sat. Now, if one of us had fell off the roof, then they would have claimed, "Oh, they must have just slipped." They deliberately tried to kill us.
So you're on the roof now, and we've gone from the poles going through the ceiling. Now we're up in the loft, and they're poking holes poking up and pushing off the roof tiles.
Yeah.
Did they remove any?
No, they just knocked about 3 or 4 up, and we started shouting straight away. And the negotiator said, "There's no one down here doing that." Oh, we must just be imagining it then. We all imagined that all these tiles underneath us suddenly started moving.
I think they're all on smack.
That is attempted murder as far as I'm concerned. If we'd have gone off that roof, we could easily have landed on our head and been dead.
Absolutely.
And this is 3 non-violent
Negotiators.
middle-aged men and women sat on roof. I mean, we said this to them. Why do you think 3 middle-aged men and a woman are sat on a ridge tile on a roof at this time? Why would you think we're here? Because we're just normal. Well, as normal. We're not normal as in asleep. We're normal, but we know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's because, and this is what gets most just do not get it. We do not do this for us. We're doing it for you. Because we know there's a lot of people that are scared to even attempt anything that we've done. And I must admit, we've been scared many times.
Yeah.
But you don't see, or those that are particularly trolls don't seem to get that if we lose, the majority of the population dies.
Yes.
And we'll be at the very front of the queue.
Absolutely.
So when anyone says, "Oh, you're just dramatic, you're just this," our names, every one of our names is on a list. And if they get their way and they do start shipping us off to these death camps, I, along with many others, will be on the first bus.
I agree. Agreed. All of us will. All of us that are putting ourselves in this position anyway.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons I also do it is because I absolutely know in my heart that if everyone else knew what was going on, they would at least get close to doing the same. Maybe not to the, as far as I'll take it, but this is a life and death battle we're in.
Yes.
And
It's
we
a war.
don't want to be losing this one.
Now, this is a war.
Absolutely. And it's been a war for a long time. It's just they never told us they were at war with us.
Yeah. Well, that's for sure. It's been a war since 1945.
And before that.
And before that.
It's the trolls. Sometimes they make me laugh. Sometimes they bore me. But I just can't see why they do what they do. Some of them are paid professional trolls. I know that. But the ones that are just doing it because they want to sort of like be devil's advocate.
Yeah. Well, devil's advocate is one thing, but I think there are a lot of paid trolls out there for sure. Fusion agents, we call them.
Yes, yeah. And I've been under attack, well, pretty much constantly for the last 18 months to 2 years. But in the last 6 months, the amount of attacks have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And
you can feel the change, Mark.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think you can
yeah.
almost, it's tangible. You can feel the change over the last 6 months that it's building and it's building.
They are desperate.
Yes.
They are desperate as anything. But at the same time, I honestly believe it's too late and they've already lost.
Yes.
But they're not just going to roll over and say, "Oh, you've caught us out," because when you find out what they've been up to,
Oh, yeah.
so we're talking ropes and that sort of thing. But I don't want them to get that. Well, not straight away. I want them to be taken before a common law court and judged by
The people.
informed men and women, and then whatever verdict they come up with, I'll stand behind.
Yes. Yes.
The last thing we need is anarchy and there's going off and dragging some of them out and hanging them by the lampposts.
Yeah,
That's just be playing straight into their hands, because then they can say, "Oh, look, they've all gone crazy. We need martial law and curfews and all this sort of stuff."
I totally agree. So that was Friday, and you stayed up there all night.
Yes,
Obviously.
the negotiators stayed there till he told us about 2 in the morning. I don't know if any of your listeners are like me, but I don't have anything that tells the time apart from my phone.
Yeah.
So whatever time he stayed there to, I don't know. He claimed the next day he stayed till 2 in the morning.
Okay.
And he was very, very drony, to the point that we were just laying on each other and humming, because we were just sick of his droning voice.
Yeah.
It was raining and it was very cold. The lad at the front, Henry, he only had a jumper, but he was one that makes the signs and banners, and he'd made one that was on the front, so he actually used that to stop the wind chill. And then Betty was sort of like behind him, in almost like a motorbike style.
Yeah.
She had gloves on, so she was hugging him, and throughout the night. And I was behind Betty, and I was sort of like had my hands in her pockets, and we were all rubbing each other's legs all night long because it was bitterly cold and wet.
Yes, it's a lot colder up there, Mark, than it is in Cornwall, I can assure you.
Oh, yeah.
It's bloody freezing up there in the night.
We didn't know if we'd be able to stay the night. We knew we wanted to, but we didn't know if we'd be able to manage it. And then we see a vague change in the colour of the sky, just lightening slightly. And from that point, we knew we'd do it. We knew we'd be able to do it.
Okay.
Then... I'm not exactly sure the time, 6:30ish, maybe 7:30, sometime like that. I'm not sure. Craig, Crawford, and Chris, Ginger Chris as he's known,
Right.
that we'd been talking to via phones, appeared from where we expected, and came just jogging over and chucked up onto the roof some clothes and some water and food. They had like a bundle each, and we scampered down the roof and got them and got back up and started to wrap ourselves up immediately, because it was still cold at that time. The sun hadn't fully come up.
Yeah.
At which point they're both arrested immediately.
Craig was arrested.
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, I remember now. Yeah.
And the original thing the negotiators were saying that we were going to be charged with, which I actually thought was quite funny, was conspiracy to commit violent disorder.
Take no notice of me.
No, that's exactly what was going off in my head, but I didn't want him to see that was what was going off in my head. The simple fact that conspiracy is almost an impossible crime to prove, and what violent disorder exactly are you referring to? You know, we've been peaceful, we're nice, we're jovial. The only time we raised our voice was to ask, "Where's the warrant? Show us the warrant." That's the only time we raised our voice. And they took them away, and they kept, that was, like I say, 6:30 or 7:30 or earlier or later. I'm not exactly sure when it was. And they kept them overnight. By this time, we knew that there'd be people starting to turn up at the Elwes. And the police had blocked off the top of the road again and the bottom of Tom's Road as well. It it's the usual thing. Don't let anyone near. I mean, this was why they originally kettled all the people off Fern Chase in the first place, because they didn't want them to see what fear and tools and whatever the TSG were going to be using against I would say six middle-aged, pretty much average men and a woman, and rightly so.
Who's TSG, Mark?
It's a sort of like a specialist police group that deal with anything where they need to gain access or
heavies. They're heavies.
Oh, very much so.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I just want to clear that up for everyone.
If you remember there was an eviction in Manchester, and you'll see them where they turn up and they get out with all the tools and that sort of thing, and it was absolutely disgraceful violence on their part. It shows, but what it does show is that they're getting desperate. They are so in the poo.
Yeah, they're losing it. They're losing it. It's, so we've now gone into the early hours of Saturday morning. When did, I mean, obviously they weren't allowed down into the close. And how far away and how many people started to gather then, Mark?
I don't know. I was on the roof, unfortunately.
But no one's told you. Was it a large gathering that started to gather then?
200, I don't fully know. It would have been more on the Friday, but it was pissing it down. And most are like anyone else, you know, you can take it so long, but the rain does drain you, and you know you eventually get going. Sure. There were people, men and women, that stayed until the early hours of the morning, and some stayed throughout the whole night. Then when they started to turn up on the Saturday, we could hear them talking and, you know, saying we want to go down and want to see them and all that sort of thing. And the police were, you can say, doing their job, but they were preventing them. It got to the point where there was Mickey Summers was there, Melanie Shaw were there, and they were both telling them about the paedophile network in Nottingham, run and protected by the city council, the county council, and the police, who are all in a partnership together where they won't show each other up. So if you catch me doing something naughty to a 2-year-old boy, you don't come after me, because we're in partnership together. That's the sort of partnership that's going off in Nottingham.
But this must be having an effect on the constables, the ordinary constables, Mark. Surely some of them
just so
stupid.
I don't know what it is. Some just don't even want to look at it, and they are I can't call it stupid, because I'll tell you who's stupid. I'll tell you who is stupid. Stupid are these people that imprison themselves every night to watch Coronation Street or EastEnders. They're putting themselves in their own cell at set times of the night, and they stay there. They're actually imprisoning themselves, and they just don't see it.
No. I think this is going to wake a few up, though. I mean, this is going to wake up thousands. And we've reached a new level now. This has gone to a new level. I mean, I know that they've had things happening in Ireland as well, in Trim. I don't know if you're aware of what went on in the court over there with Cotty when he was arrested.
I got a little bit, but obviously I've been a little bit busy as well.
Just a tad, yeah. Okay. So we're now well into Saturday morning.
Yeah. It's probably 12 o'clock, and the negotiators have changed 3 or 4 times. A man and a woman, then a woman and a woman, then a man and another. They're all pleasant enough, but their job is to talk you down, and that's all there is to it. And it's not like, I mean, we're all adults. We're well capable of looking after ourselves. We know the roof was slippery. We know the roof was dangerous. At the same time, you pushing a steel rod or something through the tiles to try and knock us off, that's seriously criminal.
Absolutely. I think you're going to be rich, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's a different
I think you're going to be seriously rich.
But
I got hit for something much, much smaller in 2007, and I went after them, and I got $3,000 out of them for pissing me around and shitting on me. I knew none of this stuff at that time. If I did, boy, you could stick a few notes on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, sorting out with them, we'll talk about later. So sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, it's now lunchtime ish.
Yeah, and we can hear the crowd, wanting to come down and see us, and I think they were making noises, trying to make it loud so we could hear.
Fantastic.
And when we did hear them, we started clapping and whistling so that they knew that we knew, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was a huge lift for you, I would imagine, as well.
Yes, it definitely was. The day, then they quietened down for a bit, and it went away, and then it comes on to say about 3:30ish, and they're back again. And again, this is where they've got the order that says that the court has to provide us with the original documents and copies of the documents. And Tom had already been down to court on the Thursday, and they refused to follow the master judge's order.
Yes, we need to talk about that, Mark.
Well, I can't too much.
Okay.
Because,
but he did get an order.
Sorry.
He did get an order from the High Court.
Yeah, from
London, from the Royal Court of
Queen's
Justice.
Bench or the Ministry of Justice. And it was a master.
Yeah, Queen's Bench.
Really high judge sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they wanted to show the constables that there was an order from a Queen's Bench High Court master judge demanding that they show the documents and provide copies. And of course, the police just says, no, not interested, not looking at that.
How can they do that? How can they overrule Queen's Bench?
Who's going to arrest them?
Yeah, true. That's the answer.
Unfortunately, it's getting to the point where we're going to be after doing their job and arrest them for not doing their job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like on the 2nd of July, the public were there trying to do the job that they're supposed to be doing, and they were stopping justice being seen to be done.
Yes.
So it's we're not experienced roof climbers or anything like that. I just want to make sure the listeners know that.
Well, I know. I've been in the building trade as well, and I know they can be very slippery indeed.
And we all we had was trainers on. I'll tell you about that later. It gets to about 3:30, and we know that they're not going to let Guy down with this order. They just don't want anything to do with anything going down. By this time, we are all in need of the toilet, and not for a number one.
No, quite.
So we have a huddle and we have a chat, and we say, okay, we'll go down at 4. Give another half an hour and go down at 4, because there's still lots of people actually waiting. Oh, excuse me, a bit of wind. And
how ironic. Carry on, Mark.
So Henry and Betty have been telling them the negotiators for a while now that they need a number 2.
Yeah.
And I do as well, but I'm not giving them any information whatsoever, even though I'm,
busting.
Let's say that it's getting close to the cloth. And so we say, we'll come down at 4. And then we're having a few phone calls. I was calling the missus, and everyone's calling and saying we'll be down about 4. And then it took a little bit longer because we obviously want to make sure everyone's aware that we are coming down. And then we go down. I go down first. They tell us who's in the room, so it's not surprising. To be fair, the cops from that point, obviously they weren't TSG, were very polite and very friendly. Yeah. I forget who comes down second and third, in which order, but then either way it was Betty and Henry, or the other way round. And we sat down, and first thing we're getting some water. While we're on the roof with the Craig thing, by the way, we probably wouldn't have lasted without the clothing that he chucked to us to keep us warm. We were so cold and wet.
We were soaking wet, yeah.
And it was a sleeping bag and scarf and a jacket, like a hoodie type thing. And if it hadn't been for that, I don't know if we would have been able to last till when we did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
big up for Craig
sure.
for doing that, and Chris, who was with him as well.
Yeah, brilliant, everybody.
And originally Betty was going to go down first, but she was on the phone. We was having a drink and having some. She bought some organic like muesli bar type things.
Yes.
She has serious, she has problems with herself, and she's not into all the crappy foods, like McDonald's or anything like that. And so these are all organic and it's lovely stuff. So it was already negotiated. Oh, I missed a bit out there actually. When we were on the roof, from about 2:00 onwards, we were saying we'll come down if you let the other guys go. Interview them and let them go. We'll come down. To which they didn't use these exact words, but this is the interpretation: we don't negotiate with terrorists.
So they could have used pace if they wanted to at this point.
Yeah.
This is outrageous. It's outrageous radio.
It's unbelievable. I'm quite used to it, but I was even shocked by some of the stuff that went off. Anyway, I don't want to diverse because I've actually got a cider next to me. And
that's okay, my friend. I think we're coming up for a little break time. I think we should take a wee break now anyway. This is absolutely amazing stuff. If we play a little bit of music now and take a 10-minute break, Mark, you good with that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, my friend. See you in about 10 minutes, folks. Thank you, Mark. And welcome back to People's Internet Radio. You're with the Graham Hart Show, and I'm in conversation tonight with Mark Salon, who's kicked off the biggest story of the year and probably the beginning of the evolution of revolution. Mark, we've now got to the point where you're down with the police. The police, you've come down off the roof. You've spoken to them. Now what?
Well, I have a drink of water, and Betty was due to go down first. Then she was on the phone talking to her 14-year-old daughter, and she was a little upset coming down because her daughter wanted to come down and wave to her and say, "I love you, Mum," and all that sort of thing.
Sure.
And they were stopping that, and she was upset at that point. Rather than delay anything, and also the fact that I was quite desperate as well, I then descended the ladders after they'd contacted Dan, because they had a female constable there ready to arrest Betty, so they had to just change that over, and the male constable came to arrest me. I got down the ladders and he let me go to the toilet first, and I shut the door and I did my number 2. And then I came out. He was very pleasant. I've got to say, he was very pleasant. He takes us out and we get out to the front door and we're just outside, and that's where he says, "I'm arresting you for blah 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 blah," and then he handcuffs me. Now, I've been handcuffed by the police before, for instance, when I was trying to stop them fitting a prepayment meter at my son's house. And what they did, bear in mind, this was nothing compared to what we'd just gone through.
Sure.
What they did then is, because I was stood in front of the door that opens to the meter, and the fake guy with a fake warrant, again as usual, but they always refuse to show it. It'd be funny if it wasn't so ridiculous and so common. He puts his hand at the side of me, and I sort of moved over slightly, and he then took his hand back and goes, "Assault!" And the cops decided, "Oh, we must arrest him for this." So I chucked my phone to someone, and then they sort of arrest me, and they get behind me back and they put them on so tight. In fact, I've still got pictures of the markings and the bruising that they were caused. You can put cuffs on so you can't move, and you can put cuffs on as a torture weapon.
Yes.
And in that case, that is exactly what they were being used as. That was a deliberate torture device. In fact, that is on someone's video somewhere. Unfortunately, it was taken on an iPhone, so it makes me look a lot smaller and dumpier than I actually am. But that's that's one thing. And you can even hear me saying, "Constable, can you loosen the cuffs?" They were literally that tight. It was cutting into my wrists.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a very painful, Mark.
Back to there, and we get outside, and he puts some. There's plenty of room there, and he said, "I've just got to tighten them a little bit more." And he goes, "Click." Plenty of room still. Then he locks them both in front of me, not behind me.
Oh right.
Yeah, I know, but apparently it's something to do with the fact if you aren't if you're trying to fight your way out of it and all that, they do it behind. If you're a perfectly just decent guy, just getting down and taking whatever comes, then they apparently lock them in front of you. And it takes me to the front van, and then the rest eventually come down at about 5 minutes, because each of us had to go to the toilet on the way, as we've come down as well.
Of course, yeah.
Then they go off in a convoy. It's 3 Black Mariahs, one of us in each one. I'm actually not in the box that they have at the back left-hand corner. I'm actually sat in where they've got a table, just where you open the side door. So yeah, everything was really good, and I can't say how like I would expect to be treated. I was.
Okay.
Then we waited at the bottom of Fern Chase for a few minutes, I think, for them all to get in convoy. We turn out and start going up, and then the police are having to force everyone out of the way, and they're cheering and taking photos as we go up. And I do the usual thing. I put my hands in the air to say thanks for supporting us and all that sort of thing.
Yes, I've seen that.
Sorry?
I've seen that video.
I'm glad you have. I haven't. Obviously, yeah. I've got a lot of catching up to do.
You have indeed, yeah. Yeah, it was brilliant.
And then we go off in the 3 vans, and I'm chatting to the constable, and it turns out that he's been sort of following it. He did say he believed that everything he did on the 2nd of July, he believed it was correct thing to do. I did point out the fact that even the fact there was no warrant, but the fact he was decent, I didn't want to push it too much. And then on the way back, I'm explaining to him about get out of debt free, and how you don't pay for anything, you're only promising to pay. And I said, and this was the first cop, because I'd done it to them all. This was the first cop that actually allegedly had a paper note on it. It was a £5 note. And I said, what does it say under the Bank of England? And he read, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of, I see, that's not payment, that's a promise to pay.
Of course.
And he sort of did it, whether he was just thinking or not, he didn't come across as just acting. He sort of got it, and I went on to explain how the monetary system really works and why you don't owe anything, and he was very interested. And like I say, he was a generally decent guy that, now, if you met him out of uniform, he would just be what you would think was a normal, decent guy.
Yeah.
And we're having a good chat on the way back, and he said that he's been following it, and he's seen some stuff that suggests that what Tom and Sue is saying is correct, but then again, he's also seen a lot of stuff which puts the other side of the argument, so he's not fully sure which way to go. And of course, the other stuff is all the trolls and agents, and don't get me wrong, they have done a fantastic job of attacking us, me, Tom, anyone in this thing. They've done a really, really good job.
Oh, they were making up signs about Jimmy Savile and all, weren't they?
Yeah. This was that was absolutely disgraceful. But then again,
they're just words, and we can't take them to heart. A
lot of them.
It couldn't have been very nice for the family, obviously, but
if it had been, I'm not sure how certain people would have reacted if they'd have been there face to face to these low life scum who were only keyboard cowboys and didn't say anything face to face, as happened up in Bolton when we went up 2 days after the eviction on the 2nd.
Yeah, but I think people see them now, Mark, for what they are.
Well, I'd like to hope so.
Yeah, I think people see right through these trolls now.
Some
That's
do,
my
some
opinion.
don't.
Yeah, well, the more asleep you are, you're not going to see it. But I think people are waking up all the time, and it just defies logic. So I think people see through it.
Well, I do like to hope so, and I believe a lot do. There are some that do disappoint you and fall for it.
Yeah.
It's like Tom's whole thing, though. The amount that fell for the total troll attack, and it, like I say, it was a good one. They'd done a real good hit job, but that's what they're paid to do.
Of course.
And I don't know if you heard Tom talking about how when he was in Bolton, he offered them, he will debate anyone. Come up, sit on a chair next to me, and I will debate you on your thing. And there was a major troll in that room. And I don't know if anyone's seen the video where I do my talk, but I'm talking, and I actually addressed this troll because I put where I'd been using Rob B's methods of pointing out that you're trying to call me a slave by Lal, and that's posted in the success story on Get Out of Debt Free, where Lal had sent me a letter saying I owed X, Y, Z, and this is your number, blah, blah, blah. And Rob B does some fantastic stuff, especially on slavery. And I basically copied off what he said as close as I could from the meeting we'd had a few months earlier. And I sent this letter off to them saying, this number you're trying to brand me with, are you trying to say that that's my slave number? And I added a few more acts, statutes and stuff, not statutes, but like certain acts about slavery. And I sent it off to Lau. Right. Nothing, absolutely nothing for 2 weeks. Then I get a letter back. And this time, rather than being Andrew Bartle, one of the CEOs of Lau, it's someone from the debt collection side. So again, I send another letter back to them saying, addressed to both of them, Andrew Bartle and this one, saying, right, you've been warned that you're trying to entice me and brand me in slavery. You can now no longer say that you didn't know you were trying to commit slavery. And then I think I got another letter which was just very we're just holding things for a moment. And then I get a letter saying we've decided we're not going to continue with this anymore. We've dropped it. And the troll, had said, "Oh, that's not a win." And he argued with somebody on Skype, or not so much argued. He went on to explain for post after post after post why it wasn't a win. Now, for me, he said it was for the CSA. Now, I take care of my own things, and it wasn't the CSA. It was actually an Asda credit card for $3,500. So I've got now evidence that a $3,500 debt has been wiped out because I told them they were trying to brand me a slave. But the divvy guy went on to try and say it wasn't a win, it wasn't a win. Well, I haven't got to pay $3,500, and I've got that in black and white from a letter from Lau. I would say that was pretty conclusive. And I suggested, I even mentioned him in the video, if you see the video, that you were wrong there, weren't you? And at the time, because obviously it had just been a couple of days before Tom, I didn't even know he was going to be there. And when he was there, I thought, you low-life, scum-sucking piece of crap. But he had ample opportunity to ask me something there and then, or ask Tom something. And Tom even would have had on stage and debated with. But the gutless, spineless keyboard warrior said nothing. And then I've sort of like gone off on one about that sort of thing. But you see, I tell you, this is the thing. This is the thing. What they don't get yet. When it comes out, and I have the feeling it is on the verge of coming out, the truth. Yeah. All them trolls, and they're known. When everyone realises that they just told lies to mislead them deliberately, and they have tainted some people with it, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not walking down the road one day and someone that knows them and recognises them goes up and has a little word with them. At least. And that's no more than they deserve.
At least a little word.
Well, where we're trying to, I don't want this to sound big-headed or anything, but we are actually trying to save humanity here.
Well, there's no
These
other way of
guys-
putting it, Mark.
Sorry?
There's no other way of putting it. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Otherwise,
these
this
guys-
species is finished.
Yeah, these guys are, whether knowingly or unknowingly, are trying to destroy humanity. I believe a lot of them are doing it knowingly, and there might be the odd few that are doing it unknowingly or just because the dickheads. That's about as best I can suggest.
Yeah.
So now, if I remember correctly, we're on the way back to the station.
Yes, that's right.
And very interesting chat. I went on to explain a few other things, how money really works, and it was listening. It did seem to be sincerely listening. We gets into the Bridewell, which is the only detention station in Nottingham now, and they take us up and they start. Okay, we need your phone, we need your camera, we need you got to take your clothes off as well because they're all going to be put in a bag separately and examined. How about examining them tissue papers in the bleeding loft, eh? You'll have DNA tests of who's the dirty little scrot is then. But no. So they took all the clothes off apart from my T-shirt and my underpants and my socks.
Yeah.
And they bagged them all and they gave me some like tracksuit bottom type things and a white T-shirt. Like I was saying, all the time though, they were being very polite. And if you don't know, I'm always very polite. And I always treat people the way I would want to be treated. Unless they piss me off, in which case, if they piss me off, they're not treating me the way I would normally treat them. So that carries on. I get some more water. Eventually get taken to the cell. It's now probably 5 p.m. And I'm in the cell then till... The last thing I recall leaving the cell was about 12 minutes to 12 on the Sunday. I had just been laying on the bed. Very uncomfortable it is. In fact, I remarked on the way out that on TripAdvisor they were only going to get 2 because the mattress was too thin. And they had a laugh about that. But yeah, this is it. This is the sort of thing. You got to have a laugh and a joke, even in serious situations.
Yeah.
And so I'd been sort of sleeping, doing a little bit of meditating. And I actually thought when they come to interview me, I thought it was about 9 o'clock Saturday night. That's what a good job of the meditating I'd been doing. And it was actually nearly midday Sunday morning. So they take me down to the interview room. And it's now 3 DVDs or something like that. They record everything and they popped him in and he's doing his usual spiel. And he says, okay, so you're Mark, blah, 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 blah. And I says, just a second. I do have the right to be silent, don't I? And he says, we'll come to that in a bit. He says, no, actually, I now invoke my right to be silent. And then the interview lasted for approximately 40 to 50 minutes, where he was asking me all these questions and all them questions, and absolute zero out of my mouth and he was telling an awful lot of lies and things that I knew he must have known were lies.
Yeah.
And that's designed to try and get you to say, well, that's not true, blah, blah, because once you start speaking, it's very difficult to stop. And they know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was one point about halfway through where he said something that was such utter BS that I actually went, I put it. And he knew exactly what I said. And he even said it for the thing just to make sure. And that was the only thing that was said throughout the whole interview.
Yeah. And had he mentioned the charge, Mark? And can you say what that charge was, or do you want to not go there? No,
I'm fine. It's changed so many times because at one point they were going to charge with criminal damage and I forget, they was charging us with so many different things and they had to change it every step down the way.
They're changing the charge.
They have to change it because they couldn't charge us with what they were trying to charge us with.
Right.
I'll just see if if it's lying around, you might be lucky. If it's not, In fact, I know it's not, because I just remembered where it is, and it's not here. So unfortunately, I can't tell you what the actual charges are at the moment. But, if we have a break in a few minutes, only like one song, I can go and get the sheet.
Okay, we can do that now.
No, it's okay for the time being.
Okay.
So
well, we've got 35 minutes left anyway, or 34, so we're fine.
So we come out of after the interview, which nothing apart from bullshit from my side will be audible on the CD or DVD or whatever it is, and then we're stood where he's waiting to like log me back into my room, and we're there for about 10 minutes, and we're just chatting away, and he says he fully understands what we're going on about and why we're doing it, and he almost gets it. This was the sort of impression I got.
Yeah.
And of course, it got onto the point of wages, and how the police's wages are being capped, and yet those scum down in Parliament have just given themselves a 10+% pay rise and backdated it. And I said to him, it's almost like they're deliberately seeing how far they can push us and how much we'll take. And I would suggest it's getting very close to the bone now. But I still don't believe it'll be a violent revolt. It'll be, we've had enough of this. You cells. And we'll escort them to the cells. And the police are getting away, cells. Yes. I really do believe it's getting that close to everyone having had enough of the rubbish.
Yes, I think so as well. And of course, Mark, they talk, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Well, before it just came back into my head then. When one of the times on the Sunday, because I was at the interview and I was taken out to get ready to go to that might have been the Monday actually, where I was taken out and get ready to go to the court. I was there chatting to one of the staff there, one of the detention staff.
So you're kept in overnight now?
I was kept in Saturday night and Sunday night.
Okay. And
that was to prove a point as well.
Again, yeah, sure.
I was chatting to this female detention staff, and she's chatting away as well. And she made a comment that I have to share. I just have to share because it was just like, wow, it says a lot. She said, "We've never had such nice, genuine people in these cells, this detention centre. That should tell you a lot about the type of people. And that's not just me and Betty and Henry. That's all of them, including the other three and Craig and Chris. So, they all said they all couldn't believe how honest and genuine and mannered. Because I have manners. In fact, I even apologised to the guy that was doing the interview afterwards, saying that I wasn't being disrespectful or anything. And he knew. So he says, "Yeah, I know exactly what you do." Because if you ever are in one of these states and they do try their best to get you to talk, just look at their documents. It says this evidence will be used against you.
Of course. They usually tell you that halfway after you've said a hell of a lot of stuff as well, which people don't realise.
Yeah. But nowhere on it does it say this will be used for you. So anything you say, no matter what it is, will be used against you. Never, ever for you. So the best thing to do is say nothing. Absolutely. Some of them, as far as I hear, did the no comment. But I wouldn't even do that because that's still responding to a question. And like I said, it was very, very hard. But the fact that I think all those that spoke and interacted with us could see that we were genuine, honest, feeling, caring men and women. Yeah. And that's what the impression I got that they got of us. Then we got taken down for the courts, and this was like about, I roughly guess, about 9:30. And it's handcuffs again, searched all over again, wandered again, even though all our clothes have been taken off us anyway, but it goes through it again. Then they take us into the waiting to go to court. Now, at this point, the fact that they saved it till Monday, I knew that I probably wasn't going to be the first one up in front of the judge. And as it turned out, I was there till roughly 3:30, 4 o'clock before I actually got up in front of the judge.
This is on Monday morning?
Yes. Well, Monday afternoon now.
Yeah, sure, of course.
And that was, again, done. The rest had gone before me, but for some reason, I'm just guessing they see me as a leader or something like that. And absolutely, I'm not like I said, I didn't know anything about this when we arranged all this. So, but that's the way I guess they see me. Yes, I am. I can be loud, and I will be loud, and I try to get to everyone for their own benefit. This is what they don't get. It is for their own benefit to try and make you see it. And I absolutely do believe if everyone knew what was going on, this would be over now. This very second, it would be over because we'd all stand up and say no. Yeah. But that's coming. And if we have that break now, I'll go and grab that document. Okay,
we'll do that. How long do you need, Mark?
One song.
Okay, what, a couple of minutes, 3 minutes?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, folks, we're back. This is Graham Hart on People's Internet Radio. We do have a donate button if you would like to make a donation. That's what keeps us going, folks. We really do appreciate just a little couple of quid or whatever, or a couple of euros, whatever you can afford. It would really help us a hell of a lot. Are you back, Mark?
Yes.
Cool. I have got one guy in the chat box that wants to come on air. I'm sorry, my friend, we just cannot do this. This is far too important. I don't want to diverse from this particular subject because it is, this is huge, and I think we really need to stick and stay on subject. So I apologise for that. Okay, Mark, carry on.
Right. So before we actually get to the actual charges they settled on in the end, I didn't actually know this at the time. Like I say, I was the last one up.
Yeah.
The charges originally were something like trespass and something else, which I can't remember. And then the prosecutor pointed out that they couldn't use them charges because Tom and Sue's name was still on the land registry document, so they were actually still the owners, and it would need Tom and Sue to actually press trespass charges against us.
Of course, yeah.
And I think they realised the chances of that were very, very slim.
Yeah.
So now this is interesting. So the judge, when they had actually come up with some charges, the judge actually ordered them to find a more severe charge.
Say that again, Mark.
The judge, who is supposed to be impartial,
yeah,
ordered the prosecution to find a more severe charge because they couldn't use the ones they were trying.
This is insane.
You can't make this up.
No, you can't. You couldn't write this shit.
So the actual charges they decided on in the end were affray, criminal damage, and S4, which is a public order offence. Now, it's going to be interesting because criminal damage would mean that the owners would need to press them charges. And since the owners are Tom and Sue, and we're actually quite good friends, I don't really think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
This whole thing is about to explode.
Yes. Yes. It's already happening in Ireland, as I said, and this one has just, it started with Tom's case when he was evicted, and then we had the shenanigans going on in Trim Court with Ray Hall and Cotty.
Yeah. Now, if it was just one courthouse somewhere, you could maybe think, yeah, that's just one corrupt court. When it's happening all over the different countries, all over the world,
it's
too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, I agree. So where do we? So then what happened then, Mark? I'm sorry, I'm beginning to lose my thought here.
Well,
I got chat boxes flying at me here from guys. It's okay.
I then finally get into the court, and I know what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do, and later, as I find out, the missus has said if he does what I think he's going to do, I'm not going to see him for several months. And I did come out and do what she thought I was going to do. And the judge was very threatening. For instance, one of the things I said, give your name, date of birth, place of living, and blah blah blah. I says, well, my date of birth is allegedly blah 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 blah. And he says, what's this allegedly stuff? You'll either give your go back to the cells. So at that point, I turn and I start walking back. And I think he then realises that, I'm quite prepared to go back down the cells. I've put up with this sort of crap for long enough. Some more time in the cells isn't going to bother me. So then he says, wait there. I don't think you realise how serious this is. And this is the point that that really did piss me off more than anything, was the fact they actually had sent one of the guys down. They weren't giving him bail, and I was not there and then, because I didn't find this out till afterwards. But what had happened. So he calls me back and says, "I'll give you one final chance." So I thought, okay. By this time, I realised he's such a establishment figure that he's going to do best he can to do me over. So I play his game. Yeah,
because otherwise you're going to go down.
Yeah, I should really have said, okay, seeing as you are ordering me to commit perjury, I shall do. But, because the reason, if you don't know why that is because my date of birth, I was told that by my parents when I got old enough to understand this type of thing. And that's hearsay. He forced me to commit perjury by using hearsay as evidence. At one point, I said I didn't want to plead. No, sorry. I said, I'm a man and I do not beg, because pleading is begging. Yeah. And after he basically says, you're looking at 9 months. You're going to be inside till next year if you don't play the game. In so many words. I thought I'll just play the game. I've been awake for 3 days now, and I was a little. In fact, I was very tired. Even though I'd meditated, it's not the same as sleep. It just time passes faster. Yes. If you want it to, it can also pass slower if you want it to as well. Strangely enough. And at one point he says, "So, are you saying you did not do this then?" Which is another way of saying not guilty. And at this point, I think, oh well, just let him have his childish little games. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so it's a not guilty plea. But as he said that, a lot of the people that were watching from the gallery cracked up, because they knew he was sending me down a route where if I could only say yes, or he could just say, right, you're remanded. It was that, and they laughed because they knew what was going on. I knew what was going on. But by this time, I thought, actually, it's been 3 days now, and I just want to, get out, maybe have a beer and chill out, and then have a good night's sleep on a proper bed. So that was and he says, okay, yeah, you're bailed, blah 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 blah. But here's the thing, and now this, I'm not really sure if I should say or not, because it is so low, so disgusting. In fact, I won't name the name. I'll let you lot figure it out for you. You may or may not have heard that somebody got arrested for taking a photo in the court and uploading it on Facebook. Well,
in your court, Mark?
No, it was before I got in there.
But this is in the same court on the same day.
Yes, actually in the courtroom.
Right.
And they posted it on social media, and within 5 minutes he was arrested for taking photos in the court. So he gets taken out, and as he's taken out, he walks past Jay. He's the one that's been remanded. Right. He walks past Jay's missus, 11-year-old kid and about 4-year-old kid, and he turns to them and says, "At least I won't be in as long as Jay." To which his 11-year-old kid starts crying his eyes out. God. He then later apparently apologised to the court and was let go.
Right.
That is the sort of behaviour that I would not have expected from anyone that is even slightly awake.
No.
That was absolutely disgraceful and so far below the belt, they want their balls cutting off for it.
Yeah. So you were bailed then, Mark?
Yeah, I was bailed, taken down. I was given, what was I given back? The belt, the pendant, a scalar wave energy pendant, and a scarf that was thrown up onto the roof to us, because all the rest of my clothes, and including my shoe, everything was all confiscated. And then I go out, and people are starting to come out upstairs in the room that I was in. I can see them because I'm already out by. Although I did pass Jay, and I felt so sorry for him. But again, this whole thing, just like the 2nd of July, was done to try and put the most fear into as they possibly could. You challenge us, you're in trouble. And you know what? I don't give a. Yeah, I try not to swear actually, but yeah, I don't.
Well, I think people swear, Mark. You know what? I've got this thing. I think people swear because things are so bad. I think when we create the heaven on earth that we can do and live in abundance, swearing will go. There'll be no more need for it. Yeah. That's just my theory. That's all.
And I believe it's very close, very, very close.
So do I, my friend. So do I. And that's what this is. Like I said earlier on, I've got someone who wants to come in and talk with you, Mark, and I can't because this is too important. And I apologise to the gentleman that I didn't put a very nice comment back to him. But there you go. This is far too important to have side issues going on here. So carry on, Mark.
So then everyone starts to come down and out into the court, and they come and see me and shake my hand and hugs, and this is the thing that I think they can't get. And if you'd have told me, say 20 years ago, that I'd be hugging men and women, I'd told you to go and wake up somewhere else. That's never going to happen. Women, yeah, maybe, but men, no. And now, because we're so close, even those that we don't know, but we know that they are on the same level, we all start hugging each other, and it's just such a nice thing to do. It's above friendly, but without being what they would probably go down as sexual. It's not. It's just loving and friendliness.
It's just showing unity.
Yes, yeah, and I think we're so close now. For a prediction, although I've predicted it many times this year anyway, I believe the financial system will crash either September or October. They will attempt to bring in their one world currency, and if we allow that, we're in deep shit. Yes,
we are. I did have a question earlier on, and this is moving slightly away, or slightly, should I say, into the future. Where the hell have I put it? It's from Martin, and he's asking about the auction.
Yes.
I'll find it in a sec, Mark. I think I will anyway. Here we go. It's hidden. Where the hell are you? Come on. So it must be down here. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Martin was asking, what would you be asking for a large number at the auction to stop the proceedings?
As far as I'm aware, it's going to be, I see the shill troll hate merchant is in the chat box.
Yeah, that's the one I told to.
yeah, he's a complete and utter
asshole,
spineless dick. Okay. He was told if he'd got anything to say, come up to the meeting, and we wouldn't have beat him up. We'd have debated him, but he's that spineless, he wouldn't. And same with his mate bumping. Another spineless troll.
Right. I don't know this. I just seen him earlier in there, and he asked a question about bullshitting or something, and I just said, I forget what I said now. I said, twat. That's right. We left it go to that. And I was asked if he could phone in and speak, and I said no.
Yeah, he's a gutless, like I said, I don't often swear, but that dickhead gutless wonder. He jumps on Mark Stevens stuff and plays it like the god. And I love Mark Stevens stuff. I was following way before Vinny even knew about it, or as I now call him, because he calls me Colon, so I call him Finny. Before he even knew about it, I was following Mark Stevens stuff. Yeah. And it is very, very good stuff.
Well, I'm glad I didn't ask him on there. So there you go. All done. Will I add him? I don't think so. Carry on.
And like I say, I love Mark Stevens stuff. But for some reason, that's it. He got banned off Get Out of Debt Free because his answer to everyone and anyone that came on, no matter what the problem was, don't listen to this, do it this way. And if you can think the way that we see this, you've got someone that's come to the site for some sort of advice on how to deal with it. They're frightened, they're scared, they don't think it's going to actually work, and this dickhead is giving them bad advice. And I warned him, and eventually I banned him. And
I think there's many different ways, Mark, to act. You know, you got to go into each situation with a different way. There's always a slight change of format. You've got to take each case separately and approach each case separately. There's no one way for every case out there.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm still trying things now. And I think this is why I became so well known, is that I'd actually go and try things rather than these keyboard warriors who type all this crap, don't actually physically do anything. I go and do it and try it. It's funny. It's so funny, but at the same time, it's so sad. I mean, this gutless wonder claimed it would take 6 hours to get from London to Nottingham.
Right.
Some of us even offered to pay his fare for him, but no, because he knows that at the end of the day, he's just talking his usual spiel, talking a load of rubbish, and hasn't got the real balls to come up and face anyone face-to-face, man-to-man. Not that we'd have beat him up, but we would have taken him to pieces merely because in the conversations we would have had, he couldn't hold his own.
Fair enough. Well, I called it right then in the first time I replied to him. I know where you're coming from, Mark. I've known you a long time. Excuse me. I've known your work for a long time, and I know that you're a very, very honourable man, and I've learnt an incredible amount from you myself. So I know who I'm talking to here. The other guy who you're talking about here, I don't know, but don't come in and start telling me what the hell I should do. And show. Yeah. So, yes. Where do we go from here now, Mark?
Well, these next few months are going to be very, very interesting. Tom has got hold of some paperwork now, and I can't say what's in this, but let's just say that I believe them in the courts are like I was Saturday afternoon. The turtle's head is starting to poke its head out.
I'll say it is. I couldn't believe it when I came back and this was going down, you know, especially after trim. It's just amazing. I'm pretty much speechless, Mark. I'm thrilled that you came on the show tonight. The timing was wonderful. I gave up last night. I had prepared a completely different show, actually, because I thought all I was hearing was that there's still one inside, and I thought it was bound to be Mark.
No, well, thankfully it wasn't, and that was one of the reasons I had to also make it out, because I knew I had this show on the Tuesday.
Oh dear. Could you just when is the house going up for auction?
We don't know. Well, as far as we know, though, it is going to be an internet sealed bid auction.
Wow, that's new.
Which the way I see that, it means that we've already decided who's buying it, and it doesn't matter if you put a higher bid in or not.
You're not going to get it.
One of our guys. That's if they get away with it. Even if they get away with it, though.
But his name's still on the registry, Mark, isn't it?
This is it. If they've done everything lawfully the way they claim, then what's the problem?
Yeah. Where's the warrant as well? And didn't he win the case? when he went to court over this?
Yeah, but even when I saw it, I thought, that doesn't look like a win. It wasn't until there were certain points pointed out in it.
Right.
And the amount of stuff that's got... I don't watch the troll stuff because there's just no point.
Yeah.
And I think Psychodrilla did an hour thing about it. I didn't watch it because there's no point. I actually know what's going off. This guy is listening to his bosom buddy, Divvy Bumping, who you must have seen the video where I'm down in Wales and they get beaten up.
No, I've not.
Well, it's violent. It's on YouTube. It's on the Sri Lanka Sea channel, and it's Violent Eviction Cromlech. That's the name of the area, which was Port Talbot. And basically...
Violent Eviction?
Cromlech. If you just put Violent Eviction and you see the Robin Hood picture, you'll know that's the one.
Okay.
And they basically beat about 6 or 7 of us up while the coppers stood there. And when they saw what was going, there's 3 or 4 cops are stood at the end of the driveway. When they see what's going off, they actually turn around and look up the road so they can say, we didn't see anything.
Right.
While we're being beaten up.
I've not looked at it, but I've just put it in the chat box anyway for anyone else.
I did anyway, Divvy and Psycho decided that they had copyright on that. And seeing as I'm in it, I think, yeah, and it was, yeah, I don't see how. So this is, bearing in mind, this was 2011, and it's now 2015, and he decided he was going to put a copyright claim in against me, which is what he did. So I said, well, I'll challenge that because I know that this isn't your copyright. For a start, how could I possibly have stolen it when he actually sent it to me?
I'll have a look at that. I must look at that later on. That's amazing.
But interestingly, that actual thing, when you see it's about 20 odd minutes long.
Yeah.
I was told by him then that he's got so much of this sort of stuff now, he's ready to put a video out. Well, that was 4 years ago, March just gone, still no video.
Right.
What he has done, though, is stopped other people using the footage by, again, putting a copyright claim in. And unfortunately, they didn't want to challenge it. I challenged it and he backed out.
Yeah.
And that's just that. The sad thing is, I don't hate them because they're just
of course not.
Got some sort of mental problem. It's quite obvious.
Yeah, I don't hate anyone, Mark. What's the point? No. It's like when we finally catch up with these people want to kill them, hang up, or do whatever. First thing we need to do is to get them out of power. That's the first thing that we need to do. Yeah. How we go about it, then that's up to the people.
Yes.
But I'm not in for killing anyone because that's just lowering yourself to their standards, and I think we can do better than that.
And if you think back to the French Revolution, which everyone thought, yeah, we've got freedom again now. Within 50 years, the same lot were back in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, not this time.
Oh, no. This is a brand new dawn of a brand new era. And if I'm here still, I'm looking forward to it.
Me as well. I'd like a few years. That would, just a couple of years of heaven would be nice. Mark, it's been absolutely, I think no one's going to disagree here. I've had some great shows since I've been with People's Internet Radio. This show has been absolutely incredible, and it's shown people that we are on the march. We're not putting up with this crap any longer, and the word is spreading. Thank you so much for coming on, Mark. Please come back again. We've got
more than happy. Hopefully not under the same circumstances.
But it's been a fantastic show. I've really enjoyed it. I know everyone in the chat box and everyone listening is going to think this is just dynamite. And thank you so much to you, to Tom, to everyone who took part. You're absolute champions. And with that, Mark Salon, thank you so much for joining me.
We're all in it together.
You're damn right we are. Bless you, brother.
Bless you too.
Take care. Good night. Well, there you go, folks. That's the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. That's the fastest 2 hours I've ever lived through. And I'm going to leave you and Mark and everyone who's involved in this fight, every one of us. Good night.